Working from home, you feel so alone. Cabin fever's running high. 5 o'clock comes, it's happy hour, but all you do is sigh. When the cocktail hit the spot, it's time to just relax, mix up a bit of history. Go ahead, put the kids to bed, and please drink responsibly. Join me for happy hour history.
Hey friends, Kim McCann here, program developer at Prairie, and your host for another episode of Happy Hour History, where we mix up some historical cocktails and talk about alcohol-related history. Quick question, does anybody else have pandemic hair? Yeah, okay. All right, we'll leave that alone. Anyway, I'm very excited because today we are going to mix using the cherry bounce that we made up back in episode 2. If you haven't done this, you should go and do that because you're going to want to. I've had a little nip just to taste it. It's really good. So we are going to mix up 2 different cocktails, one super easy and one historical cocktail using our cherry bounce today. So the first thing that we're going to do is just something really simple. You can, of course, drink cherry bounce just as it is. Pour it in a cordial glass if you want to be fancy, or in a shot glass if you just want to sip and drink it that way. You can put it on the rocks, you can chill it in your fridge if you want to, and enjoy it that way. But to make it a little more refreshing, what we're going to do is we are going to take 2 ounces of our cherry bounce. I'm very excited. So there's 1 ounce, and we're going to pour those 2 ounces directly over some ice cubes in a glass. That's 2. And then we're going to top that with some ginger ale. So you can use whatever kind of ginger ale you like to drink. Diet, regular, Canada Dry, Vernors, and just pour that in. And because the cherry bounce has some added sugar to it, you will get a little extra foam. And also you should give it a stir because it's going to be a little heavier than a regular spirit because of that extra sugar. And here we go. Oh man, that is so good. That is awesome. If you have not made this, I know I already said that, but if you've not made this cherry bounce, do yourself a favor, make some. This is like cocktail sipping on the back patio. I want to keep drinking it, but we're gonna move on to our next cocktail after I have another drink. Oh man, it tastes like the best cherry cola. It tastes so good. And just a reminder, if you go back and watch, or if you look up online and find a cherry bounce recipe, ours is made with bourbon. We used bourbon from Hotel Tango, which they were kind enough to share some of their product with us, and they are open while everything else is shut down. So by all means, go and visit them. They make wonderful local product. And so our cherry bounce is made with bourbon. The next cocktail that we're going to mix up is called the Saratoga Brace Up. It's a weird name. Here, let's dissect the name a little bit. Saratoga, because this cocktail apparently, there's no proof, solid proof, originated in Saratoga Springs in upstate New York. Saratoga Springs is a place that has natural springs. They also are really famous for their horse racing there. And in the middle and late 19th century, they were the spot to be in upstate New York. And there were generally 2 types of people in the late 19th century there. There were sports. Those were people who liked racing and boxing and drinking and smoking and hanging out, and Victorians who didn't drink. So guess which category I would find myself in. Anyway, so Saratoga Springs was a place where people went to enjoy themselves, and so a lot of cocktails came from there. Brace up. Why is it a brace up? Well, you can probably intuit what that means. Brace, which is originally an Old English word, which was a forearm piece of armor, was called a brace, and that's where we get that word. And it then came to mean, by 1740, it meant to brace yourself, meaning having something to do with your nerves. And by 1829, the word bracer came into use as something that you drank in the morning that contained alcohol. So if you were a sport who was drinking a lot at night, you might have a bracer in the morning just for that old hair of the dog. I know the etymology of that. Anyway, so we're making a brace up, and probably the reason it was considered a brace up, number one, because it has alcohol in it, but also because the original recipe contains an egg. Don't freak out yet, we're going to make a substitute. But here's the original recipe from Jerry Thomas's The Bartender's Guide. 1 tablespoon fine white sugar, 2 dashes Angostura bitters, 4 dashes or 1 teaspoon approximately of lime or lemon juice, 2 dashes of absinthe, 1 fresh egg, 1 wine glass of brandy. A couple of substitutions. Number one, I don't have absinthe, so I'm not even going to worry about it. A couple of dashes of absinthe aren't going to change the drink that much. If you have something like anisette, you could throw a couple of dashes of that in there. It's really just that sort of herbally, licoricey flavor, but it's not that much, so I'm not going to worry. We are going to substitute our cherry bounce for the brandy, but I'm also going to add an additional 1 ounce of bourbon, just because I want to. And instead of the egg, what we're going to use is what I've got in this glass right here. This looks like something that if you were feeling under the weather, you might submit to your doctor for testing, but it is not. It is actually aquafaba. So if you know what aquafaba is, there you go. If you don't know what aquafaba is literally bean water. So this is the liquid that garbanzo beans comes in. You can use aquafaba from other beans, but they're not going to work quite the same. Garbanzo beans is the way to go. And this is just poured out from a regular can of garbanzo beans that I bought in the store. So this is going to simulate the egg in the cocktail and foam up, I hope. I haven't used it before, but we're going to find out and see. We're going to go ahead and make that drink. I'm going to use some video magic and move some things around to get them out of my way. So I'm back. I'm going to tell you guys that I just averted a near disaster as I was moving things around. The decanter of Cherry Bounce began to slide off the table, and I nearly lost it. So, whew. So anyway, we're gonna mix our cocktail right here. So already in the shaker, I have that tablespoon of fine white sugar, and I'm going to add to it my lime juice. You can use lemon juice, I'm using lime. I'm going to add the additional 1 ounce of bourbon, not obligatory, but I want to, so I'm going to. And then my 2 ounces of Cherry Bounce. And then the 2 dashes of Angostura bitter, so roughly 16 drops. It's fine. You know, I'm giving these recipes, I'm telling you, make cocktails how you like to drink them. You don't have to follow the recipe. You make them how you like them. So anyway, we've got that in here. And now we're going to take our aquafaba. So when you're using aquafaba in cocktails, generally it calls for egg whites or an egg. You want to use about 1 3/4 tablespoon of aquafaba to equal 1 egg. So I'm going to give this a little stir because it's settled, and I'm going to pour that right in. Now, with aquafaba, you do want to give a dry shake. So in other words, a shake without ice first to get that aquafaba a little bit emulsified with the rest of your ingredients. So I'm going to do that for about 30 seconds. All right, so I've done my initial dry shake, and now I'm going to go ahead and add some ice, which should help us get that nice aquafaba / egg foam. So and we're going to shake for about a minute. All right, we are done shaking, and if you look and see, we've got a nice foam on there. By the way, if you're a professional bartender, please don't leave me a comment about how terrible my shake is. Anyway, we're gonna pour this in to a tall bar glass. You know what? I should have poured it in this way so I can get all of that foam. Which I have to say, it looks awful pretty. It smells fantastic. Now, the original Saratoga Brace Up says that you should fill the glass with seltzer water. I'm going to try it this way first and then put in some club soda. Oh, I like that quite a bit. That's really nice. That cherry bounce comes through really well. The extra brandy doesn't hurt it at all. It doesn't bite, it's really smooth. And the mouthfeel with the aquafaba is really smooth and luxurious. I kind of hate to lose it, but I'm going to go ahead and try. Well, now we've got a huge head on that, which looks pretty glorious, actually. I wish I had a straw, but I don't use straws. So, okay. I know, it's there. I'm just going to leave it. So I like that as well. That is also really good. So either way you want to do it, it's going to be brilliant.
We're excited for you to make this stuff. If you make it and you make some cocktails, please share with us. I'd like to think I'm not the only person drinking out there, but the weather's getting warmer. Things are opening up. Stay safe. Big thanks again, as always, to Hotel Tango, who are a local distillery. Drink local right now. Enjoy yourself local. And join us next week when we're going to get punched. We're making punches. Drinking. No one's punching you. Cheers. Man, that's good. That is